of my group mates, I would like to ask you some questions as public teacher. Before we begin, could you please tell us your name and your profession?
Hi, my name is Mary Criselo Gaol. I finished with a degree of Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Biological Science. I am in my 4th year of teaching in Kibongbong Elementary School in Kiblawan.
My name is Evardo. I am a graduate of Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English, and I am working in Colonel Antonio Silencer Elementary School as a provincial school board teacher. And years in service, I do rendered the service for about 3 years.
So for the first question, how do you plan to integrate new literacy such as digital literacy or media literacy into your curriculum across different subjects?
As a 21st century teacher, our aim is to widen the knowledge of our student, right? So in order for us to really let them inculcate those literacy, we have to plan activities, not just to focus on a single idea or activities about the topic. So we have to jump in another ideas that are related to the topic, such as the numeracy, the digital literacy, and etc.
In my everyday experiences, I always use TV to present my topic or lesson to my students. Also, during my discussion or activity, I use online tech tools like quizzes or Kahoot or Mentimeter. And you can always engage this to your students, whether it is online or face-to-face.
For your second question, ma'am, can you provide an example of a lesson or activity where you successfully incorporated new literacies to enhance students' understanding of a particular topic?
Yes, I have an example. One example that I remember was when I have this topic in science subject where I discuss water cycle. I cannot completely discuss the topic, so what I did was I downloaded videos and images for them to saw the process of water cycle. This is not only enhance their understanding of the topic, but also develop their digital skills.
So, based on my experience through the demonstration, for instance, I am discussing about a fact and opinion, narrative of fact and opinion. So, the things or the activity I have made was I gave stories to the students, and I do let them read the story so that the reading literacy will the reading literacy will be developed. And aside from that, when we say opinion, it's all about subjective idea, right? But when we say factual information or factual ideas, we are relating to the evidences.
For the third question, how do you assess students' proficiency in new literacies, and how do you use assessment data to inform your teaching practices?
Okay, to really enhance students' proficiency in new literacy, I had to provide them activities such as multimedia presentation, because I know that technology is very rampant in our century or in our generation right now. So in order for them to have the skills to have the skills in editing, so I will let them give their multimedia presentation, just like the PowerPoint presentation, and to assess, right? And to assess, and assessment data informs teaching through identifying the gaps between their knowledge in that particular literacy. So, to really evaluate students' improvement or students' lackness in learning such literacy, we had to provide or to apply more new literacies for them to become more equipped. That's it.
I am more on doing simple tasks. Like for example, in my ICT class, I make them to create invitation cards, and because it is a far-flung school, they did not introduce to any digital literacy. So I made them experience on how to can use laptops and their smartphones. So in my assessment, I use the formative assessment techniques such as quizzes, polls, to gauge students' understanding and progress in real time.
For your fourth question, ma'am, in what ways do you collaborate with other teachers or educators to ensure consistent application of new literacies across the curriculum?
We have this what we call NSET and SLAC. So NSET is in service, education and training, and SLAC is school learning action cell, where we discuss our action plans and interventions to improve our teaching strategies in our students.
To collaborate with other teachers, I had to first be active in like the school learning action cells in which the best practices, strategies in giving learnings to the students will become more developed, because in that school learning action cell I can get um, new learnings on how to handle or to foster students skills in um, learning.
Now, on to the last question. How do you address any challenges or barriers that may arise when implementing new literacies in your classroom? And what strategies do you use to support students who may struggle with these skills?
Okay, in teaching we have to consider the level of our students. So if the first strategy would not work, we have to shift or to look for any alternative so that we can adhere students needs that is suitable for their learning. That's it.
Because I am in a far-flung area, there are students that have no technologies or any device, or they struggle where I teach them the basics. So what I did was I made simple instructions or tasks. Like for example, if a student is hard to use the laptops or computers, I will show them the step by step, let other student to teach them and show them the step by step in using the computer.
Hello everyone, good evening. I am Royd F. Mumo, currently taking Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Science, and I am in my fourth year level. And at the same time, I am currently undergoing my PST or the Pre-Service Teaching Program.
Okay, hello everyone. I Jezabel Puliazar and I am currently enrolled in Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Science.
Let's start. So, for the first question, can you describe how you plan to incorporate new literacies such as digital literacy or critical media literacy into your demo teaching lesson across different subjects?
Well, actually, it's very hard to incorporate media literacy to a classroom. But however, upon reaching to the point, upon observing how my students behave, I realized that PowerPoint presentation through flashing in the television, because every time that I enter the classroom, I always bring with me my TV. the television, that is where I inserted my PowerPoint presentation so that the rest of the class may see the the discussions that I am going to teach to them. And for the record, applying the media literacy to students allows them to engage directly to the topic. And I think that is one of the good points in using the media literacy, because the students will be able to know as to what's the better way to use televisions and what's a better way to incorporate PowerPoint presentations in discussions. And as for the planning, I am really making sure that when using those tools such as PowerPoint presentation and televisions would really meet my learning objectives, because it would be a waste of time if it doesn't meet at all. So it's very important that before you engage or before you conduct your classroom, um, before you prepare for a classroom teaching or demonstrations, it's very important that you integrate the technology and use wisely on how you deal it in delivering the classroom discussions. In that way, you will going to strengthen your the purpose why you use the technology.
So, in the classroom I was assigned to, where a flat screen TV was the available technological tool, as a science pre service teacher, I incorporated digital and critical media literacy across different subjects by allowing my students to experience virtual labs for conducting experiment or exploring scientific concepts, since in Mati National High School had a limited equipment and materials in their laboratory. So this was very helpful and advantageous for as an alternative, and also engage them in creating their digital presentations or projects where they had to research, evaluate, and effectively communicate scientific information.
For your second question, how do you intend to differentiate instruction to meet the diverse literacy needs of students, including those who may have varying levels of proficiency in new literacy?
It's actually very, very hard to generalize everything. That's why we have this what we call teaching differentiations, where you have to differentiate your way of teaching to the students so that the scope of your learning discussions will be holistic. I let students to engage directly to the topic and allow them to modify the task in themselves, so that when students feel that they are part of the lessons, they are part of the topic, they will assume that they are included in the classroom discussions, and that will highlight their activeness to the class. So that's the good point of using media literacy.
So it is a challenging part of being a PST to meet diverse literacy needs of students, including those with varying levels of proficiency in new literacies. But first and foremost, I assess their literacy levels and observe them for a week. And after that, when planning my lessons, I always increase and carefully divide or group the students into classes so that those with high proficiency can become less proficient. Second, I use varied instructional strategies to cater the different learning styles of the students, and emphasize science to make them aware of common distractions or areas where they are maybe lacking.
Okay, question number three, sir. What specific strategies will you employ to actively engage students in developing new literacies during your demo teaching lesson?
In order for me to achieve the learning goals, is that I always maintain proper instructional materials, and so that when I deliver my lessons, students will be directly involved in my classroom discussions. And aside from that, I also use, are you familiar with noise balls? It is where the students, when the students speak too loud in the classrooms, the balls will move. No, the balls will move, and if the balls will move, that will indicate that the noise of the classroom is just too loud already. So in that way, student will be disciplined, and the students will be able to maintain right conduct during I deliver the classroom discussions. But that is only applicable when you are giving or administering quizzes or exams to them. Because if you as a teachers also talk, the ball will also move. So in order for the students or in order for the technology that you are applying for them to be efficient and effective, you only need to use it in a way that is only appropriate for that setups. So, say for example, administering quizzes, exams, that would be a good points so that students will behave. And in that way, students will learn how to incorporate the use of media technology and literacies to their behaviors in the classroom setting.
To actively engage my students in developing new literacies during my demo teaching lesson, I integrated interactive digital resources like educational applications and virtual labs for experiential learning. I also initiated peer collaborations or group activities for analyzing media content and fostering critical thinking, and also assigned creative digital projects where students research, evaluate, and communicate information using digital tools such as presentations or videos that are very common in today.
How do you plan to assess students' progress in acquiring new literacies during your demo teaching? And how will you use assessment data to inform your instructional decisions?
We have in the grading system of DepEd, they have 40% written reports, 40% performance task, and 20% for exams. And in order for me to incorporate the uh, media literacy or the new literacies, is that by performance tasks, I ask students to make a video of themselves, create some mini vlog, or do some documentary um, sits uh, in the topics that they have learned. In that way, students will be directly engaged the topic. At the same time, they will be given the opportunity on how to use CapCut and how to use existing media tools for them to enrich their abilities and to maximize their knowledge on how to use those existing technologies and applications we have today. And I believe giving them that opportunity will highlight the importance of students' curiosity and giving them the platform also to explore those things that are not taught in the classroom. Because as a science teacher, you cannot teach everything. There are limitations. So in order for the students to do their part and to do their effort to for learning, they it's very important that you give them opportunities such as video editing so that they will be directly taught themselves. They will teach themselves how to modify, to do the modifications, and at the same time it will give them the leverage in adapting to the crucial change in our environment. As for the assessment, I will also, of course, just like any other performance task, there is always what we call criteria. So part of the criteria is how students modify or use the applications, how students edit their videos. In that way, I will also be able to determine that they really know how to use the power of technology and existing media that we have today.
So, as a pre-service teacher, I assess students' progress in acquiring new literacies during my demo teaching by using various methods such as observing their engagement during interactive activities, evaluating the quality of their digital projects or presentations, and analyzing their performance in quizzes or assessments focus on physical literacy skills, and also to use assessment data to inform my instructional decisions. I carefully review the results to identify students' strengths or areas of strength or their weakness. And of course, for instance, if assessment data indicated that many students struggled with evaluating or online sources, I incorporated more lessons and activities on digital literacy and source evaluation. But if students excelled in creating digital presentations but needed improvement in critical media analysis, I will adjust my teaching strategies to focus more on media literacy concepts.
In what ways will you model effective use of new literacy tools and resources during your demo teaching, and how will you encourage students to apply these skills independently?
It's really quite hard to really understand students' preferences, especially in utilizing media technology. However, in order for me to encourage students to use those existing media that we have today, it's just like what I've said, is by through allowing them to engage directly to the media, such as giving them performance tasks, a mini vlog, or video documentations, so that at the same time we are hitting um, two birds with one stone, because you are teaching them or you're giving them the opportunity to explore another media literacy. At the same time, you are meeting your classroom objectives and highlighting the importance of self-learning. So for that reason, I believe that students will that would be enough for students to be encouraged, because creativity of the students nowadays is very wide and is very diverse. So in order for me to look into its diversity is by giving them tasks that are only appropriate to their age, to their level, and to their knowledge, especially that most of the students nowadays had their cell phones. So I believe that with that given context, I am just only incorporating their daily dose of everyday living to the classroom management and to the deliverables of classroom materials. And that would highlight also the importance of meeting the two lines, or meeting my classroom objectives to the students' preferences, which will ultimately encourage students to be engaged directly, thus helping them to explore the existing medias and applications we have today.
For interactive learning experiences and creating multimedia presentations to convey complex concepts. To encourage students to apply these skills independently, I provided a guide practice sessions where students could use the tools themselves with my support, give assignments that required independent research and
Kasi
analysis
Apple.
using digital resources, and
Basta Apple.
offered opportunities for students to showcase their work, representations, or projects that incorporated new literacy skills. So, by regularly assessing students' progress and using assessment data to guide my instructional decisions, I ensured that my teaching was responsive to students' needs and effectively support their development in new literacies. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time to speak with us. We appreciate your insights and your willingness to share your experiences as free service teachers. It was great to learn from you, sir. Thank you po. Have a good night and God bless.
Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. And on behalf of my group, I would like to thank you and also for your time for answering these questions.
Thank you so much, Miss Jezebel. So thank you for taking the time to speak with us, and we appreciate your insights and your willingness to share your experiences as a pre-service teacher. And it was a great it was great to learn from you, ma'am. And thank you so much on behalf of my group. So have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.